Hey ladies, I wanted to get on here and do a short video. Hopefully the lawnmowers in the background are not too loud. Of course, when I wanted to jump on here, the guys came to the building to cut the grass. So I've been sitting here for a bit waiting for them to be done. But I couldn't wait any longer because I wanted to get on here and share what was on my brain. So what I wanted to talk about today and what the title is around sex and not having shame, really around just talking about it, because if you remember from Wednesday when I asked that question, it was just me being curious, because I assumed it was probably the same that I've experienced, where you learned about sex growing up, and from those that commented, is true, that it's kind of the same story that I have growing up, and again, we look at our parents, at least from mine and the history of my family. I know nobody talked about it like my grandparents. It was never talked about, right? So my parents came with, you don't talk about this, and they did do better. They kind of talked about it, but didn't really. But when, I went to talk to my mom about it, I would never talk to my dad about sex. That was like a big no-no. That was my own personal, but anyway, I'm sure he would try his best, but I definitely went to my mom the first time that I wanted to get on birth control and things like that when I was with my boyfriend in high school. So anyway, the point of all of that and just kind of pulling some information from all of you is just because I wanted to be aware of it and also bring it into the light and see, this is what we were given back then, right? This is what we had to figure out our own options, right? Which was usually friends, movies, maybe people at school, teachers, I don't know. But you had to you actually did find out that information, from other people. So, and it's just it's just very interesting for me, about that, and just to hear everybody's stories around sex and how it was talked about or not talked about, or accepted but not talked about, parents knew that you were having it, but nobody talked about it, because why? What if we talked about it? Would it happen more? Would it, it's just very interesting to think about. And going into this focus with my coaching has, again, brought me into doing the work on myself, and also dating again, since I'm going to be divorced probably this month. It's supposed to be finalized, hopefully. So again, dating, right? The last time I dated was back in early 2000s. So things have changed, and just learning that dynamic, and being open and honest with, hey Tabby, and being open and honest with, what I have learned and what I bring with me, right, from my past, let's just say my marriage, right, and the relationship we had sexually, and then learning again, interacting with new people, and going on dates, so it's a whole curve of learning again, because the last time I dated, it was my early 20s, right? So totally different person than right now, right? That was 20 years ago. So yeah, it's a lot different. What I'm finding is, and I think it was Tabby that you talked about, when you start recognizing what you like, what you desire, what makes you happy, and owning that, and being okay with that and accepting whatever that is, and being able to convey it to the other person openly and honestly. And that exchange can be scary, because you don't know what that other person is going to come back with. And I'm talking about, I can talk about dating specifically because that's what I'm experiencing right now. But I know these conversations can be hard, even in a long-term relationship, marriage or whatever. You know what I mean? There's still that you don't know how the other person's going to react, right? You think you know, and you might, the fear might, take you down a spiral and come up with all these scenarios, but it's usually never as worse as we think it's going to be. So anyway, but my point is what I wanted to talk about was focusing on, I have these old stories from my childhood. This is how I learned about sex, but it doesn't mean that's what it has to be right now. We're changing, we're evolving, we're learning, right? And that the more work you do, learning that pleasure is not a bad thing. Pleasure is not, a negative thing. Desires are not a negative thing. It's part of being a human, part of being female. Our body is built for pleasure, just the way it is. And so, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that is past stories that you need to work through, because everybody has their stories around sex and what you've been taught and told and everything like that. And having that compassion and having that curiosity and recognizing the feelings that come up, because there might be shame, and that might be an old story that you have. It might be shame from an ex-partner that said certain things to you, and it's that work that'll bring up certain feelings that you get to feel and recognize and really think about, okay, what story is this creating for me? Is it true? Is this something from my past? Is this something that my parents told me? Is this, is this something society has taught us? Because there has been a lot of that, patriarchy, that kind of teaching that we've been growing up with for most of our lives. So again, it's that stepping into your own power in your own body and feeling what's good and what's right and what feels good for you, and not being a performer for the other person, right? Recognizing what you like and being okay with it and being able to share it with the other person. Because those can be scary conversations. They can be or they can't be. It depends on who you're talking to. And being able to preface that conversation with, letting the person know, like, I want to share this really, deep desire of mine, and I just want you to listen, right? So just saying that before even sharing what you're going to share can be a really great container for that other person to be like, okay, all right, you just need me to listen? Okay, I can listen. Go ahead. And hopefully they'll honor that for you, because then there's that connection that you make with that other person, and then you're able to be even more vulnerable, the next time, and be able to share maybe even more next time, and not hold back as long as maybe you have been. Again, these are all scenarios that come up around sex because of everything that we have been through, and not even talking about sexual trauma and assault or anything like that. That's a whole other what is it? That's a lot of work there that needs to be done if you have experienced that. So that's even more that you definitely may need someone else to help you through, and process that. So this is just talking. I'm focusing more on just recognizing desires and recognizing that you like sex, you like being intimate, you like being physical with another person, right? Because there's nothing wrong with that, no shame, and that you're able to talk about it, and that it's open and honest, and you're not showing off for the other person, you're showing up as you, and this is what I like now as a 41-year-old female, this is what I like, and this is what brings me pleasure, and that this is what I enjoy, and how I like to reciprocate. Again, these are all conversations you can have that are they're actually fun. You can actually look at them as types of foreplay. I mean, like talking about sex can get you kind of, feeling good and tingly, which is great, and plus think of it. you're being open, right? This is what I like. This is what I desire. This is what I want to try. This is what, whatever it may be. And then it gives your partner the chance to be like, oh, okay, cool. So we can talk about this stuff. So I can share what I'm thinking, and we can have a conversation and really respect each other and be open to hearing, to just listening first, and not judging. And again, being able to hold that space for that other person too, and listen to what they have to share and say. Just really, it's a great interaction that I've recently been experiencing, and really owning, and letting I date guys, so letting the men know that this is what I like, this is what makes me happy, this is how you can show certain things. I don't know about you, if you all have had these conversations with a partner or someone you're dating, and how you feel after talking about certain things, right? I have felt the empowerment and really owning my sexuality and how I like to be intimate, and being happy about it, and not having to be shy about it, and be like, this is it. This is part of me. Hey, you said you liked me, so this is part of it. And and having those conversations, which is, I think, exciting. I don't know about you all, and for those of you who experience this, again, please share in the comments about your experiences, because it's a great opportunity to really step into your own body and recognize what you really love and like, and in pleasure, and being able to share it openly. It's it can be scary and exciting all at the same time. And some people might not receive it as well as you might think, and some will be open arms. Again, it's being vulnerable and sharing it with somebody, and then taking how they respond, and processing that. So it's definitely, it's one of those scary conversations, but that doesn't have to be. And you can make it, and you can be like, listen, I'm kind of like awkward talking about this kind of stuff. I use like certain words and whatever, like you can laugh about it too, and bring humor into the conversation in a loving way, and never like teasing or degrading, but laugh and talk about certain things that sound funny, or whatever. It's just being more human, and being like, listen, I don't know how to talk about this, so I'm just gonna say it, and be okay with it, and just embracing that awkwardness, and it's okay. Having the conversation is the most important part, because it's getting how you feel and what you want and you desire out. So then the other person knows. There's no games. There's no guessing. There's no, it's out there, and it doesn't ruin the mood or anything like that. I think it actually helps, just speaking from experience. So that's all. I just wanted to get on here and share that. Again, just continuing the conversation around sex and intimacy, and really owning what you like, and it's okay, and it's fun and exciting to try new things and things like that. So, all right, ladies, have a good evening. I will check in with you tomorrow. Share any comments on the video, and I'll check back in a little bit, but take care.